Welcome to the Monday, June 13th, 2016 regular business board meeting of the Board of School Directors. Before we begin, I'd just like to take some time to offer a moment of silence for the tragic occurrences in Orlando this past weekend. So if you would join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. And I will now turn the meeting over to Mr. Copeland.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming this evening. We have a number of really great opportunities to recognize some year-end achievements. First up will be a presentation by State Representative Timothy Briggs on an essay contest called There Ought to Be a Law. Representative Briggs.
Thank you, Mr. Copeland, and thank you, Board, for allowing me to kick off the meeting. I know you have a pretty good agenda tonight, so I'll not be brief, but be respectful of your time. And I just want to say this is my, I think, 7th year of doing There Ought to Be a Law contest, and for the audience, it's an opportunity for 5th grade students to give an idea to their representative about something in their community, school, town, state that they think should be a law to make their lives a little bit better. And I just was reminded, the first ever winner from 2009 is in the audience. Tom Ginsberg's here, so he's a junior now, I think, and very, very proud of him. But we have, it's grown over the years, and it really has been a great partnership with myself and the local schools to introduce 5th graders to service and government and advocacy, more important than anything, of being involved and reaching out to your legislators about things that you see in your everyday life that should be improved. So I'm proud that we had over 400 participants this year. A number of essays, they're all outstanding, but a number of them really rose to the top, and we have one that was the winner of the contest from Lower Merion. So I usually am able to spot 5th graders before the meeting starts, and I introduce myself. Today is such a great crowd that I'm going to call them out by names, and if they could come down and then maybe do a photo with Robin, Ms. Van Lynch, to honor them today. So this is, let's see if this goes. So from Penwyn Elementary, Miss Rothersberger's class, we actually had a joint submission. 2 young women wrote a great essay regarding adding local districts recognizing certain holidays to be official holidays. Hannah Gao and Amy Huang, if they're in attendance. All of them were extremely well written, so I'm not going to say that for each one, but come on, why don't you guys stand over here? Congratulations. From Mr. Vaquera's 5th grade class at Penn Valley Elementary, Anusha Baez, if here she comes. And it's interesting, this Anusha's essay is, I got a number of similar types of ideas, and we're actually, the school district has taken a lead on it already, calling for a law that would require schools in the state to have a later start time to allow students to get better sleep. So that idea has actually prompted myself to introduce legislation to have the Department of Education study the sleep requirements of adolescent kids. My daughter is in 10th grade, and when I started looking into it, it definitely hits home. And no matter how early I ask her to go to sleep, there's still no way she's going to get enough sleep that pediatricians require. So I think that is a great thing worth studying, and thank you for bringing that. Kate Lustgarden, Mrs. Dina Ayers, 5th grade class at Gladwin, if Kate is available. Kate's essay submitted calling for a law that would ban the use of pesticides and herbicides. And a young gentleman who I met outside, Vincent Redpath, if he can come down. Also with Mr. Vaquera's fifth grade class at Penn Valley, Vincent wrote an essay regarding the Pennsylvania Safe School Act, a comprehensive anti-bullying law. Thank you. No, let me add. None of them stuck together, right? Everyone just has one. Wanted to make sure I wasn't skipping anyone. So the co-winner, there was a student from Upper Marion High School. It really was a tie. Is hopefully here, and I believe tomorrow him and Jimmy Ring from Upper Marion will be spending the day with me in Harrisburg and getting recognized by Speaker of the House Michael Turzai on the House floor, which is an honor, and it should be an exciting day. Allie Lasky, is Allie here? And it's definitely timing. Allie wrote a terrific essay about voting and activism and being a responsible citizen regarding being an informed voter. So I want to congratulate her for definitely writing an inspiring essay that definitely is a very timely opportunity to discuss that. So congratulations to all of you. Thank you to all the teachers that participated. Like I said, we had over 400 outstanding essays. I read all of them multiple times, and it took a while to get down to the finalist and the winner. So I want to thank you for participating, and our future definitely is bright with such bright minds coming up with terrific ideas. So thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, Representative. And again, good evening. It's our great privilege tonight to honor state championship teams and individuals from our district. First, we begin with Harridan Science Olympiad, where the tradition of excellence continues. The Harridan Science Olympiad team earned its 18th state title at the 2016 Pennsylvania State Science Olympiad at Juniata College. The win propelled the team to nationals, where they finished second in the nation and among the top 10 teams for a record 21st consecutive year, outclassing many larger regional and admissions-based science schools. At this time, I'd like to welcome Science Olympiad Coach Brian Gauvin to introduce the team and share remarks on another historic performance. Coach?
I'm going to save us all the time of introducing each member of the team individually, but The Heritage Science Olympiad team has quite a storied history in the Lower Merion School District, and it is incredibly proud to represent this school district and its excellence in science education through the Science Olympiad program. And I'm incredibly honored and lucky to work with such an amazing group of students every year. You know, for all the trouble that we find in education and the problems that we face, to be able to work with a group of students like this that come from this community is truly a joy in my job. And another coach here, Ms. Lesh, is here tonight too. Hi, Ms. Lesh. We placed first in the state of Pennsylvania this year, like you heard. We placed second in the nation against some of the best and biggest schools in the country. To have a school that is our size continuously place in a competition which is filled with science magnet schools and schools that are 3 to 4 times our size is an amazing accomplishment indeed, and definitely shows that it is the heart of the team, not the size of the school that they come from, that really, really matters. So I was just going to recognize tonight the senior members of the team because this is their finale, this is their swan song, this was their final season. They showed tremendous leadership, and we will miss them dearly. So we also have final exams tomorrow, so not the entire team didn't show up tonight. So let me see who did come tonight. I love that song, by the way. I could listen to that all night. Let's see, who do we have here? So we have first senior down the end there, Charlie Mackenzie Smith. I believe towering above everybody else is Lucas Serlin's hair. Lucas Serlin. Mr. Chris Fulton. Felix Serlin. And we have Eric Frank. Pranav Pillay. And we have here Daida Sharma. And for last, I saved our 2 senior co-captains, John Powell and Connor Todd. The team practices every day after school for about 3 hours, starting in September and going straight through May. And for the seniors that you see up here, this represents the end of probably around 1,500 or 1,600 hours of just intense preparation and working on the thing that they love the most, which is science and engineering. And they all have very bright futures ahead of them. So for the ones that are not seniors, believe it or not, they're already getting started on next year. And hopefully we'll find another way to make it to the top again and represent the school district, which has a great, great dedication to science education. So thank you very much.
Continuing, in addition to Harrington State Championship performance, Bala-Cynwyd Middle School also advanced to the national competition, and students from all 4 secondary schools earned individual first-place honors at the state level. Please welcome coaches Lauren Lipinski from Bala-Cynwyd, Chris Lewis from Welsh Valley, representing Lower Merion, Principal Sean Hughes, to introduce our winners.
Good evening, everyone. I am Chris Hall, and I have the distinct privilege of serving as the principal for Welsh Valley. And tonight, all of the students that we will be recognizing placed first at the state competition, a tremendous accomplishment. What I'm really proud of, even more, beyond the fact that they placed first at states, is what that represents. Essentially, it represents that they've demonstrated a tremendous amount of leadership, and they're among the very best in the state at collaboratively developing creative solutions to the world's problems. So I think our future is certainly in great hands. Before we recognize the students by name, I'd like to recognize one of our faculty members at Welsh Valley, Mr. Chris Lewis. If you just wave, Chris. Chris is one of our Science Olympiad advisors, and there's a tremendous amount of dedication that all of our advisors demonstrate. They arrive early to school to make themselves available to students to prepare. They stay late. They spend time in evenings and on weekends away from their families, and they model what it means to be passionate about something and to give their all in pursuit of excellence. So thank you, Chris, and to all the advisors that were unable to make it tonight. Thank you. Next, I'd like to thank our board members. Without our board and our superintendent, none of this would be possible. We have a tremendous amount of support here for our STEM and STEAM programs here. Thank you so much for everything that you give, and to our parents and community members that are present tonight. Thank you for everything you do to make it possible for your students to develop in these really valuable areas. Next, I'd like to invite our students up, and we're super proud of you. If you would, when I read your name, just sort of come and approach the podium. And we have Margaret Hollis here tonight, Mary Heifetz, Ari Beal, Benjamin Beal, Samantha Biglin, Nolan Galinas, Shayna Ginsberg, Mira Ghosh, Charisma Hassan, Orion Yusuf, Willow Kaminsky, Anna Lee, Yasmin Majid, Yasmin Meziani, Tyler Weiss, and Emily Wright. Please join us up at the podium. In the spirit of student leadership, I'm really proud to let you know that our TSA president, Emily Wright, felt passionately about the opportunity to address you and to thank you all. So I'm going to invite her to say a few brief words. Emily.
Hello. The first TSA meeting I ever attended was an informational meeting held only for new members. There were about 100 students, all eager to find out what exactly TSA was all about. A minute or two after all of us had filed into the auditorium, our attention was turned to a projected slideshow taking place on the stage. This slideshow introduced us to Welsh Valley's 8 student officers, the leaders of our team. As each name was presented, the officer walked across the stage, gave us a wave, and continued to the other end. Watching this was kind of exhilarating in a way. I think that seeing those officers inspired me to set my own leadership goals. When I saw them walk across the stage, I decided that one day I was going to try my best to become a TSA officer. I wanted to excel in my events and help new members with theirs, just as these officers did. The principles we've learned regarding work ethic and drive have led us to receive the very results that we are celebrating tonight. As an active TSA member, I have been encouraged to set and achieve goals that will broaden my horizons in becoming a well-rounded student. Each student that stands here today has most likely done the same. Our numbers regarding membership, as well as our success rates, have significantly increased during the few years that we've been a chapter. I believe that this is a result of the continuous support that we receive from our experienced members, alumni, parents, and advisors. Our experiences in TSA have not only led us to grow as individuals, but also to grow as a team. In TSA, we learn multiple skills that we probably wouldn't develop otherwise, as each event pertains to at least one aspect of STEM. For this, we are very grateful. Not only do we learn these skills, but we also learn the importance behind them, as well as the importance of competing. The work ethic we develop as a result of our drive to succeed will benefit us for years to come. The students present today are here because they have received at least one first place at TSA's state competition. This is a great accomplishment, and I'd like to congratulate everyone for it and thank our team members, our advisors, and the Lower Merion School District Administration for supporting and providing these opportunities for us. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday to all of you. Sean Hughes, the principal of Lower Merion High School, and I have the privilege for standing in for Mr. Michael Stetner, a teacher in charge of Lower Merion Science Olympiad. And I'd ask Andrew Schmidt, and I know Michael Cheng is not here, so Lan Lu to come forward, please, representing Lower Merion High School. Green Generation is one of the test events in the Science Olympiad competition, and students are required to be familiar with the ecological systems of clean fuel technology and sustainability. And these students, Andrew, Michael Cheng, both scored first out of the 36 qualifying Pennsylvania high schools at the Science Olympiad State Finals, representing Lower Merion High School within that. Michael's not able to join us tonight, but we would thank both of these students, and congrats, and thank you for supporting LM. Thank you.
Hi, I'm representing Bala Cynwyd Science Olympiad, so I'd like our 5 competitors, first place competitors, come on up. Right. So these wonderful 5 are just part of a team of 15 that competed. We also have several alternates that have gone with us all the way along the ride. And starting off with our journey, they started with Ruston, which is an invitational in January. And at that point, we took 36 students. We mix up our teams, run 2 teams. And at that point, we came in 5th and 9th at the invitational. Scores up in the high 200s. For those of you that know Science Olympiad, there are 23 events, and it plays like golf. A perfect score is 23. So up near 300 isn't a good way to start the year, so we knew we had a long way to go and a lot of work to do. Moving on to regionals, we came in first with 54 points. So we made a lot of improvements and did an amazing job. With 21 of 23 medals. Of those medals, we had 10 first place and 9 second place. So 19 of our medals were first and second at regionals. That's when we knew we were in great shape. And moving on to states. In states, we came in second with 103 points, which was just 5 shy of first place. So that qualified us to go on to nationals. At states, we had 17 medals. So did very well. Students up here that Sam and Jacob and Disease Detectives were first at states. So I better name them, okay? So we have Jacob Gottesman, Ethan Frank, Sam Weissman, Grace Gee, and Maria Wang are our 5 with us. Sam and Ethan also were first in Crave the Wave. Grace and Maria were first in Invasive Species. And in addition to the first place, these students, as well as our other 10 competitors, had several medals. At Nationals, we came in 17th, and we won the DuPont Team Enterprise Award, which was for a breakthrough team that competed well at going to Nationals, as well as medals we received. At Nationals, we had 5 events that we placed in the top 5. Sam and Jacob took first in Disease Detectives. Maria and Grace took third in Invasive Species. Sam and Ethan had fourth in Crave the Wave. Maria and her partner, Sunmi, had fourth in Fossils. And Sam and Ethan had fifth in Anatomy. All right. So if anyone has any idea where the world competition is, our disease detectives, Jacob and Sam, are ready to go and take it on to the next level.
Good evening. My name is Lauren Lipinski, and I have the pleasure of working with TSA students at Ballackinwood Middle School. And I'd like our first place competitors to come forward now, please. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, so quick little bit about Ballackinwood. This is our lucky number 13 in terms of our years in TSA. We started 13 years ago with a small group of dedicated students, highly motivated students, and we've continued to grow year after year. This year, we took 32 students to the state conference, which is held at Seven Springs Resort out near Pittsburgh in April. At the conference, over 2,300 students, advisors, and guests from across the state participate in the 4-day affair. The 32 students that we took with us have been working diligently on their events, and those events are in over 40 different areas. The students pick things that pique their interest, and then they spend time perfecting those events, doing the best that they can, and then taking them to levels of competition. The 32 that we took on to the state conference this year did very well at the regional conference in February and then qualified for states. At the state conference, the students' stellar efforts earned them 2 first-place trophies, 6 second-place trophies, 2 third-place trophies, and an additional 13 top 10 finishes. I told you it was year number 13 for us. These students all earned the chance then to go on to the national conference in Nashville, Tennessee. We're actually heading out on June 28th, very soon. We're taking a group of 10 students from Ballackinwood. We're joining the other 3 secondary schools there. We'll be competing against students from all over the country. So right in front of me here, I have Guanji Cheng, who took first place in microcontroller design. Roldan Kramer was his partner in first place. Thank you. And then a team of 3 here, George Koo, Roldan Kramer, and Alex Zhang, took first place in system control technology this year. The coolest thing about getting to work with these kids, not only is the fun times we get to spend together, but it's also to see where they go from here. It's really neat for me to see how many of the high school kids that we worked with at Ballackinwood continue on in the future, and to know how many of our alumni are pursuing STEM-related careers based on their experiences in TSA and Science Olympiad. Thank you for your continued support.
Hello, my name is Ryan McCluskey, and I'm here representing TSA for Lower Merion High School. Could we have the members of the webmaster team come on up? All right. Okay, so the same as Bala Cynwyd's TSA program, we go to a state, regional, state, and national competition. These two young ladies, could we give an applause for Olivia Johnston, a senior at Lower Merion High School. Johnston, a senior at Lower Merion High School, sorry about that. And Kelsey Stanton, who is a sophomore at Lower Merion High School. So we have Olivia and Kelsey. So they competed at a regional competition for the privilege to go to a state competition. At that state competition, as Coach Lipinski mentioned, there were 2,300 students competing, and their event is to design, build, and launch a website about a technology issue. This year's technology issue was unmanned aerial drones. Is that correct, the way I said it? Unmanned aerial drones. So they built a fantastic website that's judged on a variety of things, on the build, on the user experience, on the way that they convey the information as well by tech industry professionals. And does anyone know what place they got in that competition? Could you hold a finger up you got it? Numero uno. Spanish for numero one. If you didn't take Spanish, that is Spanish for numero one, yes. Number one. So they're going to be going on with our other TSA students to Nashville, Tennessee on June 28th to compete with what the website said is 230,000 students in the entire organization across the nation and world. And actually, I know it's not about that, but as an aside, they won number one in the nation last year in this event as well. Okay, that's a little, I think applause, I think would be nice there. Okay. So thank you so much for your support and for providing us with the opportunity to go to these great competitions, and especially this upcoming one in Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Scott Everslog, principal at Harrington High School, and I'm proud to be here this evening. Congratulations to all of our state champion winners across the district. I'll be here representing Harrington TSA on behalf of Coach Travis Lehman, and also like to send a shout out to our Science Olympiad team. Great job, Science Olympiad Harrington. Thanks for representing us so well. Can I call forward the members of the Harrington TSA state champions, please? The Harrington chapter of the Technical Student Association, TSA, returned from the 2016 Pennsylvania TSA State Leadership Conference in April with 22 top 10 finishes. In 2 of those events, Harrington TSA members were crowned 2016 PA State Champions. In the first event, Desktop Publishing, semifinalists worked to solve an on-site problem to demonstrate their abilities to use a computer to design and edit materials for an in-house publication. Our 2016 Pennsylvania TSA State Champion in Desktop Publishing is Francis Chaliceri. In the second event, Chapter Team, it's considered by most to be the crown jewel event of the state conference. Following parliamentary procedures, semifinalist teams perform an opening ceremony, dispose of 3 items of business, and perform a closing ceremony within a specified time period. Our 2016 Pennsylvania TSA State Champion team in Chapter Team is Francis Chaliceri, Eitan Ginsberg, Ryan Kreiser, Ron Nafshi, Hunter Sporn, and Sarah G. Congratulations.
We're not done. Next, we recognize our full team title, the Lower Merion Girls and Boys Ultimate Frisbee teams. They returned home from the Pennsylvania State Championships last month with a pair of first-place finishes. Both teams recorded perfect 7-0 records during the championship weekend. The girls' team has now won a total of 5 state championships since the program's inception, including 3 of the last 4 state crowns. The boys overcame 2 earlier season losses to Pennsbury to score the upset in the finals. Please welcome Coach Christina Menecci to introduce this year's teams.
Thank you all very much. I'm going to actually ask that you all stand where you are because there's really no room for all of you. I'm going to read out the boys' names first. Please go ahead and stand up. One of the most amazing things about Ultimate Frisbee is that it is completely self-refereed. These students learn the rules inside and out. They obey a spirit of the game rule that is second to none in any sport I've ever played or coached. This is for both the boys and girls. I just happen to be doing the boys, and then I'm going to pass this off to actually Lower Merion alum Chris Vanny to read the girls' names. I just want to thank each and every one of you and your parents, but working for the last 3 or 4 years with all of you has just been the most amazing experience in the world. I thank you for allowing me to be your coach. I thank you for your dedication to the sport, and I thank you for your incredible joy in play and your spirit that you have shown all of these years. So congratulations to Jesse Thornton, Griffin Kao, Eddie Scott, Charles Lee, Alex Barnett, Nick Barnes-Batista, Noble Shrestha, David Maniloff, Eli Shandelman, Alex Levy, Harrison Meyer, Griffin Murphy, Eric Hillsberg, Thomas, and I just double-checked with him, Hagen, it's not Hagen-Dazs, I have this problem every year, Nick O'Leary, Sean O'Kelly, Julian Galbraith-Paul, Michael Dweck, Jeffrey Zhao, Jason Eric, Lenny Miller, and Jonathan Toib. Thank you all for everything.
Thank you, Christina. As Christina mentioned, Chris Vanny, graduate of Lower Merion 2006, and currently the head coach of the girls' ultimate team. I echo almost everything she said. Working here has been amazing, just an unparalleled opportunity, and these young ladies make it so easy and so wonderful. So I'm gonna ask them to stand now and read off our state's roster as well. As was mentioned, for some of these, it's their 3rd championship in the last 4 years, and it's just so impressive, and I couldn't be prouder of them. Amelia Marks, Ariana Bhatia, Bethany Eldridge, Caroline Baker, Christina Holgado, Dahlia Weinstein, Dina Bihar, Grace Normile, Hannah C., Katie Dye, Kelly Harrigan, Lisa Shore, Margot Urheim, Mariko Kishimoto, Mia Bowman, Olivia Thornton, Sarah Lipson, Sophie Bennett, Sophie Teitelbaum, Victoria Lee, and Vivian O'Bannon. Give it up for these guys. Thank you so much. I'm gonna come up now.
One at a time. You won't all fit. Guys, they'll go first. Hold on.
Last month, the Lower Merion High School boys varsity tennis team defeated Fox Chapel 3-0 to capture a second straight state title and fourth in program history. Along the way, the team also won its second consecutive District 1 title. The team stormed through state competition and swept the state finals. Lower Merion also had students leading their singles matches. Please welcome head coach Dave O'Connell for some other comments about this great team.
Come on up, team. Thanks so much. I first have a couple thank yous, and one is right to the school board for your support the last 4 years in, for our trips competing in the state championships. Also to Mr. Sean Hughes, principal of Lower Merion, who has supported our program and showed a lot of faith in me 14 years ago when he hired me when he was AD. Mr. Don Walsh, our AD, that's another thank you because he's the only athletic director that I've seen at our state championships. And he's been there the last 2 years. He's traveled out to Hershey to watch our final match. And other coaches are very, they are very much in awe of Mr. Walsh for doing that. Also, a big thank you to the parents. We can't do this without the parents. As I told the team earlier, they become part of my family for about 3.5 months of the year. And I know they have a big family support, and I thank them also. I'd like to also thank our captains, Lucas Cruiser and Simon Sheintock, our senior captains, and our junior captains, Thibaut Vernier and Matt Chen. And thank you. And I'd also like to thank the team for adding a few more gray hairs to me this year. We had defending state championships is pretty tough. And we had some tough times. At the beginning of the year, we lost to Conestoga 4-3. At the end of the year, we lost to Radnor 4-3. But we still qualified for states, and we got the 4th seed in state district tournament. And I think we're going to ask for the 4th seed next year because that's 2 years in a row we've been 4th seed and we've won the state championship. So we'll probably ask for that. Because of this, we were the 4th seed and we ended up beating Methacton, Council Rock North, Unionville, and Wissahickon in the districts before we went on to states. But we learned some lessons from that. And the important lesson was that we wanted to get better at doubles and get some doubles points as we went along. And we learned the importance of doubles at the states when I could go to the side when the singles were playing and say, we've swept 2 doubles, we only need 1 more win out of the 5. So it made it a lot easier on our fine singles players, and they could just hit out on the ball and really play hard. We also won the State College Invitational Tournament earlier in the season, and Matt Chen finished 4th in singles in the state and was a medalist. I talk a lot about team to these guys. Tennis is not looked on as a team sport, but my background was from team sports, and I talk to them all the time about team. And it's been 4 years where we've talked about this, and these guys actually like each other. They play hard together. They keep each other's backs. When the doubles aren't playing well, the singles pick up for them. The singles will pick up for the doubles. And I think they've gotten the idea that we can be a team. And they know my background as an English teacher. I taught English for 33 years in Upper Darby. And one of the things I like are quotes. And I have one from a football coach that I used early in the year, and I hope this describes our team. they didn't know who Vince Lombardi was. And Vince Lombardi often is for that winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. But he had other quotes about teammates and team. And this is what I hope the kids got this year. To be a team player, you have to be a spoke in the wheel. Every spoke is important to the balance of the wheel. Continue. Just continue. Try to be great athletes, but don't forget to be great friends, teammates, and above all, leaders. Thank you for a great season this year, guys. I have one more thank you. I'm sorry. I forgot my assistant coach. You notice how young he is? It's always good to have old school and young school. He could be my son, and Riley Baver has been a great assistant. He helped me really well all year. So thanks, Riley.
Didn't know who Vince Lombardi was. Next, I'd like to introduce Lower Merion Principal Sean Hughes, who will share information regarding our 9th grade 500-yard freestyle state champion. That's right, 9th grade, Anna Calandozzi.
Anna, come on up and stand here. This is an amazing young woman. Anna is the first individual state champion in Lower Merion girls swimming and diving history. She broke 7 school records on her way to an undefeated Central League campaign in individual events. She was the Central League champion in the 200 and 500 free. At district, she was 4th in the 200 free and 1st in the 500 free. She concluded her season at the PIAA state meet with a 7th place finish in the 200 free and the state title in the 500 free. That's right. Her drive towards excellence is an inspiration to her teammates and has raised the bar for the entire LM swim program. Congrats and thank you for representing Lower Merion High School. You're an amazing young lady with the swimming.
Before we move on, I'd just like to take a second to remark at how special this evening was for me in my first year as superintendent, to see so many people from the community come out to really recognize so many various ways that students have achieved in the Lower Merion School District. Congratulations to all of the teachers, all of the coaches, all of the participants in the activities. You're just marvelous. You take my breath away. Great job for all of you. Now, Mr. Potton. Mr. Potton has, as we've been doing each month with schools, an opportunity to share with you what's going on in one of our schools. Mr. Jason Potton, principal of Ballackinwood Middle School.
Good evening, and thank you for having me here to present tonight. I'm trying something new. This is my first attempt at a Pecha Kucha, which, for those who aren't familiar, is known as the art of concise presentation. And it was introduced to me by one of my teachers, Dr. Rachel Nichols, and her students. As I am fortunate enough to have drawn the June presentation, it seems only appropriate to share our year in review. It begins, obviously, with the first day of school, which brings both excitement and uncertainty for students, parents, and staff. But this day also brings so much joy as students reunite with friends, meet new ones, and continue their journey through the Lower Merion School District. We begin the year stressing community, the fact that everyone in the building is a part of the BC family, and that each decision they make has an impact on not only their experience, but also the experience of others. This can become overwhelming at first, but students soon settle into their smaller communities, their team. With various team-building activities, students become comfortable with their neighbors and begin to recognize the expectations for their learning. The students and staff are committed to ensuring that learning is taking place every moment. We stress that middle school is a wonderful time to try new things. We offer an abundance of activities for students to begin to explore their interest and passion. And sometimes this passion results in students creating their own club, with support, of course. One such example is our Girls Lead in Science and Technology, or GLIST. GLIST grew from the minds of students and has been awarded grants for their thoughts. They have found ways to share their passion with others beyond our walls. As we continue to grow, we become so comfortable with those around us that we have no problem participating in a costume dance. This was our first year attempting this theme, and I was, of course, blown away by the attention our students gave to it. Not only are our students comfortable with each other, but they are proud of what they are doing here and share this with loved ones by including them in activities such as our Thanksgiving luncheon. We also find ways to include our loved ones or friends in our learning. Reporting on veterans or events in history that are connected to family and friends, and using the technology of QR codes to ensure that we are able to share these stories with as many people as possible. Opening up our doors in the evening to provide an opportunity for families and community to hear them as well. There are, of course, many experiences that our students have, most of which occur in the classroom, and our teachers are extremely creative in finding ways to make the classroom feel like something else, such as cave dwelling as students study early man. One of my favorite experiences for our students is when they come together as a team to save the people on the tiny island of Montserrat, which is suffering from a gambit of natural disasters. Students work collaboratively to make informed decisions on what steps to take next to help those on the island. This problem-solving approach to learning is a staple of their middle school years. It helps to develop their ability to identify a problem, hypothesize a solution, and test these hypotheses, persevering through each step and understanding that it may not always turn out the way they had expected. Their communication skills are enhanced with a collaborative approach to problem solving, and students discover that there are a vast number of resources available to assist them in their learning. These include experiences outside our school walls, placing students in situations where they are able to connect what they have read, discussed, or learned in text or other media with real life, exposing them to applicable situations where they can create and design. But their learning is also enhanced by connecting students with the experience of others, using technology to allow for a conversation to take place with a renowned composer or with a survivor of the Holocaust who Skyped into a classroom from across the country to share her story. Either through Skype or in person, as we have had several speakers walk through our doors, these stories connect our students and their learning to society and the conflicts of the world. They begin to see the world beyond their community and know that they can make a difference, sharing their voice and their own stories to a larger audience to ensure that all of us that we are in good hands as they become the leaders of tomorrow. The care they show for others is evidenced in so many ways during their time at Ballackinwood Middle School. They work together in service to many, whether it is building pinwheels with peers or participating in a variety of school community activities such as this year's Hunter Games, where students as tributes participated with their teachers in representing their district in a variety of challenges against the evil Capital team led by the administration. Our students help to raise money for so many organizations and do so in fun and interesting ways, showing their support of organizations in researching and developing new cures to devastating diseases, or providing funds to those less fortunate than themselves. But they also understand that money is not the only way to provide service to others. Spending their time to help clean a local park, providing food that they make themselves to shelters, or simply spending time with youth to share their joy and excitement for learning. The service our students provide to one another is endless. All of this speaks to the excellence that our students have demonstrated, whether it be in the classroom, committed to learning, focused on the care of self and others throughout the day, or just being a part of a community. Our students are all champions and inspire so many, including myself, as evidenced by this presentation format. So thank you to the board, to this community, and to everyone that helps make our students great. I am honored and humbled each day by what they do, and so gracious to have the opportunity to be a part of their experiences. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pott. Nice job. Any questions for Mr. Pott?
Thank you.
No? Before I turn it back over to Dr. Lynch, I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you to Mark Klein for working with us this year. Mark, who I know the board knows, is the former superintendent in the Council Rock School District. And when I needed someone to fill in before we made the decision to go with Dr. Eveslag, who's finishing up at Harriton, I reached out to Mark. Mark and I both served as superintendents in Bucks County. I did not know him that well personally, but I knew about his reputation and learned that he had a strong, deep knowledge in elementary education, which was the area we need. So he's worked tirelessly this year, and he had, I think, 4 hours of retirement to enjoy before he came to work with us in Lower Merion. Sometimes you make a good hiring decision, and sometimes you get lucky. I think this time I got both. Thank you, Mark. Oh, I forgot the grading program. I don't know how I did. One of the things that we've been looking at throughout the year, it came up at board meetings and it came up at Ask the Superintendent meetings, was the issue of the way we grade at the secondary level. As you're going to hear tonight, I asked Principal Hughes to put together a task force because he had been involved in this for so many times in the past. And he and Dr. Eveslag have been working on this. I had a recommendation that was made to the curriculum committee, and also a presentation there and a presentation at the educational meeting. And so I just wanted Dr. Eveslag with Mr. Hughes to do a couple of things. One, sort of review how we got to this point in terms of the steps that we've taken. Secondly, consolidate and summarize some of the comments that we've heard at board meetings as well as received in community comments, and then further their recommendation. Dr. Eveslag?
Thank you, Mr. Copeland. This proposal for changes to Administrative Regulation 213, grading of student progress, is a follow-up to the presentations that were given at the Policy Committee meeting on June 3rd and the Education Board meeting on June 6th. Subsequent communication was disseminated to Lower Merion School District families and placed on the school district website outlining the rationale for the proposed changes. The proposed changes are a result of feedback collected over a year-long study led by Principal Sean Hughes of Lower Merion High School, of the most current research on secondary grading policies, and a review of grading practices at high-achieving public and private high schools in our region and across the country. The process included conversations with college admissions officers, multiple focus group discussions with Lower Merion School District staff, students, and parents, in addition to the public presentation to the Board of School Directors. The proposal includes two major parts. The first proposal is a technical change to the grading scale for students at the secondary schools. The proposed changes would better align the district's secondary grading scale with other high-achieving high schools and college board standards. The most significant change under review for implementation next year, the 2016-2017 year, is expanding the numeric scale for letter grades from an 8-point range to a 10-point range. In other words, changing the A range from 92 to 100 to 90 to 100, etc. Other changes would include providing an additional level of distinction for letter grades, keeping the plus distinction, and adding a minus identification on report cards. The second part of the proposal is equally as important, if not more important, and in line with the work being done in the strategic plan. And that's to create a comprehensive feedback system for students. This would include establishing a district-wide grading philosophy that would in turn inform future revisions to this policy. Since the presentations and communication about the policy, potential policy change, several questions about the changes have emerged, and I'd like to address the 4 major themes that have emerged from those questions. First, dealt with student wellness. All decisions that are made are done so while considering effects on student wellness and stress. Concerns were raised regarding adding the plus designation to the A category and its effect on encouraging perfectionism. A criticism of the current system is that we took an 8-point grading scale and added pluses but no minuses, creating an overly unique grading structure that was misaligned with College Board. Lower Merion School District proposes to maintain alignment with College Board and keep the A+ designation. However, this designation will only be for transcript and report card purposes. There will be no mathematical or statistical advantage to the A+, as it will not have any bearing on internal differentiation for students, for GPA, honor roll, or any other academic honors. The second issue was a concern that was raised that a grade of 92 would no longer be considered an A, which carries with it a 4.0 GPA, but now would be considered an A- at 3.7. This is true according to the proposal, but again, this is being done to align with College Board. While the 92 does result in a lower grade than currently would be the case, several other similar numerical averages result in a benefit for the student, including 91, 90, 88, and 87, just to name 4. Overall, there is only one score that would negatively impact a student's grade, and that's the grade of a 92. The third issue was that there were questions about the implementation and the process. Current students would not see their current GPAs and grades negatively impacted by the proposed changes. Current students would have their grades reported on a transcript with 2 grading scales, one up to the 2015-2016 school year and another afterwards. This is at the recommendation of colleges and consistent with how the district has transitioned in the past. GPAs under the current system would be calculated under the existing algorithm, while new grades would be calculated under the GPA algorithm proposed in the new system. A student's final GPA would be a mathematical combination of the two. Students would not be disadvantaged by this in any way. And this is exactly how we had done this process in the past. And the fourth major theme that emerged was questioning why we wouldn't go back and change grades retroactively. The district has never done this, and it's not recommended that we do so now. Previous grades earned by students were done so under a different system. Assessments and criteria for agreed upon evidence of learning was established by teachers under a different scale. This recommendation is a technical change of the grading scale. It's not reasonable to conclude that the criteria that had been established last year for a particular grade would in all cases translate to the adjusted grade in this scale. Thank you.
Just before you, I think it's the last one you talked about, Dr. Eveslak. So there was a lot of back and forth, I think, in community comments about wanting to sort of use this and apply it backwards. That might help some, but it might also be a problem for some others, correct?
Correct. It would help some, not help others. It's very, very hard to make that transfer.
Okay. I don't know if there are any other board members who had questions before we go to public comment.
At this point, thank you, Dr. Eveslak. We appreciate the amount of work the administration took on this important topic. And following audience recognition, board members, again, will have an opportunity to weigh in terms of this administrative regulation around the grading policy. So at this time, we will have public comment on agenda items only. If you would please sign in with Ms. LaPera if you haven't already, and come to the mic and let us know your name and in what part of the district you reside. Is there public comment? And there is a 3-minute time limit.
Hi, I'm a senior. I'm Allie. I go to Lower Merion. So I would like to argue against this proposed grading policy in the context of stress. So in a district like Lower Merion, student stress is a huge issue, as was just addressed. There's little doubt, at least among the students, that we live in a high-strung competitive culture, and this grading change will only add to that stress. While originally many students seemed enthusiastic about this change, myself included, even though it doesn't really affect me, as the reality of this policy sets in, the same students are becoming worried. With the addition of an A+ on the transcript, whether or not it affects the GPA, we will see students, especially first semester seniors, pushing themselves for not 92, but 97. And while pushing themselves is a good thing, I think at some point it becomes excessive and students lose sleep, lose time for extracurriculars. And at the very minimum, students will be pushing for that 93 over the 92. So the pressure to succeed is already damaging to our mental health, but this change makes it even more destructive. With the addition of more shorter ranges of letter grades, only 2 or 3 percentage points between each tier, we will see students becoming more and more anxious to push themselves and their teachers to the next letter grade. Also, the stress of pushing to the next letter grade is not necessarily connected to working hard. Sometimes stress makes students shut down and they can't even perform to their highest capabilities and can't even get to that higher grade. The problem with this change lays underneath the numbers. So yes, on the outside, students who average below a 90% will wind up getting a higher GPA. It's, I think, most of the time at the cost of the student's mental health. So I don't believe that this policy helps the students, and even with all the focus groups and meetings that seem to have occurred, it doesn't sound like it's very much of a student-driven policy. It doesn't even seem like it would really encourage much more learning or apprehension of content. It just seems like a grade-driven policy, and I even think that with the school profiles that every school sends and the recalculation of GPAs, I know that some schools apparently don't do this. I think that we are not necessarily at a huge disadvantage in the college admission process. So even if the average GPA grows for each student, I don't think students will grow as people and as learners in this environment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Justin, a graduating senior from Lower Merion High School. I live in Wynwood. I've done a bit of research recently about grading at Lower Merion for my senior project, and with what I've learned, I have reason to speak out against this change on behalf of students and teachers. First, if we can accept the two premises that one, parents and students will push for a higher grade if a student is on a borderline between two grades, and that two, this system creates more smaller grade ranges, we can see that students will be under more pressure to push their grades to the next letter, and teachers will face more pressure from parents and students to inflate grades. And pressure on teachers is already a problem. When a student, quote, comes crying to you over a grade, that's pressure. When parents threaten to sue, that's pressure. Teachers bend and sometimes break under this pressure. They've told me. This pressure may not be from me and you specifically in this room, but the pressure is real. Second, under the proposed system, more students will have higher GPAs, as the same numerical point values will generally produce higher letter grades. While this seems to be better for scholarships and college admissions, it's not. The new system causes grade compression, where if the overall distribution of grades pushes upwards and it's bounded by the top at 5.0 or 4.0, admissions committees will be less and less able to distinguish between individual students. This hurts our students' admissions chances. If the stated goal truly is of clarity and transparency, as the school board claims, this change does not achieve that. In terms of competition with other schools, inter-school comparisons that parents often use in supportive arguments are invalid, as teachers' standards and curricular are in all school districts are all structured around different criteria. And every school, remember, also submits its own grading profile to every college that students apply to prevent this exact confusion. Our current system, as determined by Mr. Hughes' research, does not hurt your student in the college admissions process. But most importantly, our community and our school board, I feel, is simply not ready for this change. Note that in the informational PowerPoint, a goal for the future is to create a, quote, grading philosophy. Why is it that we're changing the way we grade without any understanding to what a grade even is? From my research, I can tell you that we truly have students in classes who have very little understanding of the material, missing almost a third of the school days in the year, quote, passing. So that invokes the question, what does it mean to pass? What do A, B, C, D, and F even mean? These are the questions we should be asking, because right now, our grades have no objective meaning, and those are not my words. Look at the support for this proposal. It's from parents who want their students to be better represented in the college admissions process. I can't blame them. But if we want to evolve from a grade-driven community to a learning-driven community, we need to first rethink our very basic assumptions of grading before toying with our grading strategy. We need action that transcends the transcript. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker,
Mabel
please.
Haggerty, Amy Noor, and Stephanie Newberg.
Hi, my name is Mabel Haggerty, and I am from Penn Win. First of all, I'd like to thank the members of the board for your time, efforts, and dedication to our school district, to our community, and to our children. I truly value your positions here. I started attending school board meetings about 7 months ago. Before that, I was like one of the many people I know who mistakenly assumed that the powers that be would do whatever they wanted no matter who might disagree, so why bother? I hate to admit it, but it's true. That's how I felt. But I've attended many meetings since, and I've listened very carefully to you and to other people who have brought very valuable information to the table. In recent weeks, I have seen proof that this board has our best interests in mind and is exploring better options for Penn Win, and I'm here tonight asking you to continue in this direction. Please find a way to save our small green space. Allow our students and our community to keep our precious field. Confirm that these modular classrooms are necessary based on the enrollment deadline that was set. And if they are needed, please place the stormwater basin in the most responsible place under the parking lot and not in our small field. Sorry, I lost my spot. Explore the options to build on the front of our building instead of onto our field, or better yet, build at a location that has more green space. Remember that Penn Win has just 80 square feet per student of green space versus 187 square feet per student at Marion and Penn Valley. How can we justify losing more of that space at Penn Win? Finally, continue discussing redistricting, which would allow us to operate well using our existing indoor space so that we can spread the weight of our growing district and so that Penn Win doesn't bear the brunt of all the growth while in the smallest space in the district, and so that we don't have to double up classes. Please remember that the easiest solutions and the cheaper options aren't what is best for our kids, and you will never be able to make everyone happy. We understand that. So please just try to do what will make our kids happiest and healthiest. I attended the facilities meeting last Thursday morning, and I listened, and maybe bit my tongue a bit, at the proposed discussions of $1.8 million in a plan to improve Lower Merion High School's athletic facilities as they were discussing whether it was best to spend almost $1 million alone on synthetic turf. How can our space or our kids be less valuable? And in the end, I'm hanging on to one expectation, that this board will have the same, quote, greater and greener plan that was discussed for our young children as you do for those athletic fields. Thank you for considering my thoughts.
Good evening. My name's Amy Noor. I live in Penn Valley. I'm here to speak in support of the changes to the grading scale. I don't have a lot to say tonight. I couldn't put it much better than Dr. Eveslog summarized it and Mr. Hughes' summary a couple of weeks ago at the policy committee meeting. But I do want to say, in regard to what the two students said so well, I completely agree that our high school students are under tremendous stress, and I know our district, and I know some parents are trying to work to decrease that. That said, I don't know if a change in the grading scale would cause an increase in stress, but I do think it is fairer and more consistent with the scales of just about every independent and public school district that the district and others have looked at. I also think moving to a 10-point scale rather than an 8-point scale and adding minuses is much better for Lower Merion School District students. I think not having that puts our students at a disadvantage, potentially in college admissions, and certainly with regard to certain financial college scholarships. So for all of those reasons, I very much support the change in the grading scale. Further, the change, that second point, the change in the grading philosophy, I agree is more important. And I'd love to have no grades. I'd love to have every kid evaluated by each teacher, but I don't think that's feasible, at least not how we live today. But I'm very grateful that the district and the Strategic Planning Committee is really going to give a hard look at that, because we need to do something to change this culture. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Newberg. I'm from Bryn Mawr, and I just want to fully thank everybody here for being here, for taking the time and the effort and the energy and dedication for looking into this issue, and especially to Dr. Efeslag and Mr. Hughes for putting so much time and energy into this research. I just want to share that I really fully support and feel extremely strongly that this is a grading system that we move towards. I have a daughter who's going into 11th grade, and I fully see and experience all of the stress and pressure that the children and our teens are putting on themselves. And I specialize in working with teens in the community who are dealing with this. But I think that this will actually, in many ways, even though I know some people don't agree with it, will actually help the situation. It will make us much more equitable. It makes more sense. It seems much more fair. It seems like it really is the direction our township should go in, and I would greatly like to see it happen and be put into place. Thank you.
Andy Newberg and Karen Smith.
My name's Andrew Newberg, and I can certainly echo what my wife just said. As an alumnus of Harrison High School many, many years ago, hopefully not that far ago, the grading system at the time didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. And here I am now, about 30 or so years later, with a daughter who's at Harrison, and I kind of feel the same way. And I really appreciate Dr. Efeslag and Dr. Hughes' work on this, because I think it's very important to get a grading system that makes sense, that is compatible with other schools, that accurately reflects what the students are doing and what their work actually represents. And again, I understand that there's always limitations in any grading system, but I think trying to advance ours to the kind of grading system that exists out there and is compatible with the other schools in the area, and even with regard to the colleges, giving our students an opportunity to be able to to have their achievements seen appropriately and understand what that means. I think that would be very important. And I think ultimately, while I don't have any data to this, I think given how the grades ultimately go, having that broader range, that 10-point scale, and having the minuses as well as the pluses be reflected in that gives students a greater opportunity to be able to show what they can do, and hopefully will take some of the stress off of them. So thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Karen Smith. I'm from Wynwood. I'm a member of the board of the HSA at Penwyn Elementary School. I'm here on behalf of the students of Penwyn Elementary School to thank you, first of all, for reconsidering where we're putting the water drainage and considering putting underneath the pavement versus on the lawn. That's a huge step, and it makes me happy to say that after the last board meeting that some of our voices were heard. Really what I want also is to ask that you continue to look out for the youth of the district with respect to the growing population, not just by looking at what Penwyn needs to do to help their students, but think of the young ones, and as they continue, the enrollment seems to continue to grow, and how is that going to affect everything? So please look at the different options to add the elementary school if possible, or where there might be more space to build, and where we can keep our kids growing and thriving with an environment that has outside play space, where our young kids don't need to double up in gym classes as they currently are, but that they can enjoy the same experience that a lot of us did as children and be able to get their stress relief out as they're trying to learn throughout the day. So please consider all the options that are out there, and I'll continue to look at the expansion plans for Penwyn. Thank you.
Ms. Schreiber.
Hi, my name is Tanya Schreiber, and I'm from Penwyn. And I've spent the last few days going through census.gov the American Community Survey, and reading the MCPC report that's on the website that talks about the population growth and the expansion numbers, and says things like almost half of the new students will fall within the Kinwood Elementary School boundary, and about a third will come into the Penwyn Elementary School boundary. So a lot of we saw a slide a couple of days ago that talked that there'd be less than 300 students now anticipated coming into the elementary program, and based on the survey on the website, it seems like they're going to be coming into the side of town where St. Justin's, the lot, is available and can hold a new 550 student elementary school. I've listened to this board put a lot of effort into getting more information, gathering data, and making sure that they waited until they could make the best decision that they could make. And I understand that in the winter time, when this $1.4 million was approved for 4 classrooms, it looked like there was going to be 830 students. June 1st was the deadline, and it doesn't seem like there's anywhere near that amount. Seems like the students might fit. Seems like maybe if some 4th and 5th graders show up, there might need to be a dozen kids bused to another school for a year or two until they move to middle school. But everyone, you've heard repeatedly about how small the field is, and we've heard repeatedly about how hard it is to spend $1 million, $1.5 million. And I'm hoping that you might consider, you have the June 1st data, I don't, but if you can revisit it, if you can look at it, and if this report that you bought last year is true, and you don't need space for 100 new students, then please save the $1.4 million, because it's needed in other places. It can be better utilized. So give yourself the time, revisit the vote, revisit the budget, and see whether or not you can even postpone the trailer decision for a year. If you can look at the permanent expansion decision, along with the need for trailers, along with the basin, the potential need for parking. Right now, you're trying to figure out where to put the trailers so they'll stay out of the way of any decisions you'll make in the future. Give yourself a few more months, and please don't put $1.4 million into the possibility that 20 kids will show up. Think about what'll happen if you spend that money and you ruin that field and you end up not filling those classrooms, or even worse, busing kids from the other side of town into another already overcrowded school and forcing the Penwyn kids to have gym in the hallway. Thank you.
Renita Thomas. If there's anyone else that has a comment on an agenda item, please sign in now.
Hi, good evening to the board. Thank you for allowing me to have a few minutes. I'm sorry I'm late. I'm coming from a Penwyn meeting for upcoming 5th graders for next year. I'm here as president of the HSA at Penwyn, and I really just wanted to just reiterate a lot of what has been said tonight and what Mabel said, I know. But we really, really hope that in addition to the trailers and the short-term solution that I do understand needs to happen, I have an incoming kindergartner who will likely be in the modular classrooms. We as the HSA at Penwyn are really hoping there's also a long-term plan, like the possibility of the 7th elementary school, because we really think that the only way to move forward is to have a short-term plan and a long-term plan, so that we all have the foresight to look ahead and say we took care of the people that we knew were coming up in the next few years. That's one thing. Second thing I want to say is, and I know you've heard this before, but we are so overcrowded currently at Penwyn that my daughter the other day, I got a call from the nurse that she got smacked in the eye with a Frisbee during gym because like they're just in such crowded spaces. Right now they're doubling them up in gym. So I really feel like even if we don't have a big growth as far as more kids are coming in, which we do know we do have, we really do need that auxiliary gym for Penwyn right now, because it is a problem physically right now. And I really just hope that we take into consideration the green space. I know that we've talked about having the bus route at the front of the school, and I can't say as a parent enough how much I would love the idea of utilizing that space so that we can use our green space, maintain our green space, and use the space that we have, since we do have such little space for the children that are already there. So thank you very much for your time, and really thank you for all your consideration. I know we're all parents who just want what's best for our kids, and we thank you for taking that into consideration. Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Dace Schreiber. I live in Wynwood, across the street from Penwyn Elementary School. This is the second meeting I've attended, though I've been following the topic of the expansion through my wife, Tanya, Ben, the efforts of others here. I came to ask that as you seek to be transparent and communicative, you put some efforts into making the presentation of options and comparisons very apples to apples. I'm finding the story very difficult to follow. The summary slide at the last meeting, it was very difficult to see what was gotten out of each investment or what the trade-offs were, so that you could actually weigh each and compare them. Also, I'm finding that the communications that receive both online on your website and in mail are very hard to understand. It's like the finance industry making up terms. It just doesn't speak to a lay person like myself around the school issues, the property issues, and it would, I think, really help the community engage if we didn't have to click through so many links to get to something, or try to filter through what is actually on the agenda, so that we would know if this is something of interest to us. So I just wanted, I guess, more or less to provide feedback. I would like the community to be able to track and participate and engage, and I think right now it's challenging unless presentations, communications, agenda items, materials that are sent out are more clear and are more plain spoken, honestly. So that's just an observation and an ask. Thanks.
So Dr. Lynch just asked me to respond to some of the issues, I assume, surrounding Penwyn.
Yes, please.
So way back in, I'd say, probably the first major presentation we did in November, one of the things that we sought to say is here are some of the challenges that we face in the growth of the district. It was an updated report done by Montgomery County Planning Commission on an earlier report that had been done in April. And one of the things that I had said was there's a conflict here. We're running out of space, but if you look at the numbers, there's 300 open spaces within the schools. And that happens in part because when you have a major thrust in the philosophy of the district for smaller class sizes, whenever classes get to a particular tipping point, we break that class up so that when you get to, I'll pick a number, 24 kids in a second grade, before school starts, the history of the district is to say, we want 22 in the class, so we'll break that class up into more classes. When you do that, you tend to drop below the class size target. I'll pick a number, let's say 18. So now you've got room to go from 18 to 22 in the school, but the overages aren't in your school, they're in someone else's school. So we recommended what has since been called the Partner School Program. Partner School Program means that after a certain date, anybody who moves into the district would be held aside before their child's school was assigned to see where spaces went. Originally, as we began to look at Penwyn, which clearly was showing significant trends of increases, we said, okay, it looks like we have a problem with Penwyn, and initially the board was set to approve voting May 16th, which would have started construction on Penn Win. My recommendation, the recommendation of the administration at the time, was to hold off on that for a couple of reasons. One, let's see how this is evolving. And two, let's give it another year. In fact, that's why we asked originally for 4 years for the modulars, not 2, so that we could really stretch out our planning and be sure. Okay, we had the 2 years approved, and then we, as I said at the last presentation, we seem to not be getting the numbers of students coming in that we thought we would. When I asked the staff to look back at the history of the Lower Merion School, they said it doesn't really flow that way. You can't really say, well, you had a light spring, you're going to have a light fall. There have been light springs in the past, and there have been heavy falls. So I think at this point we still need to move forward with the modulars. If you didn't, if you pulled back on them, Mr. Orlando would have to explain this, but there would be a monetary cost to stopping that, and we may have reached a point where that's not possible. Secondly, if you don't have them and all of a sudden you get the fall, you know, I'm sure there will be folks who say, well, you really should have thought about that. So we're thinking about it. So third, I think that there's still space in Penn Win that could be used for the modular and provide some elbow room, if you will. In terms of apples to apples, that's the thrust of our problem. It's not the same situation based on the scenarios that you lay out there. Building a new school will cause one kind of redistricting. Building onto schools creates other kinds of issues. To my feeling, there's really no perfect calculus, no formula that says if you do this and plug in the numbers, it's going to be the perfect solution. So the plan right now is to continue to examine the situation. I think the board has made the prudent decision to say we're going to hold off on any construction decisions at any of the schools. We're going to wait and see what happens in October. We're going to plan to make sure that the school that's showing the most growth has a place to grow. The one place that we think, because we're not talking about elementary schools, we're talking about middle schools, that seems to be going to be a problem is going to be Ballackinwood Middle School, because no matter what we do there, we're going to have to come up with some alternatives. As I had mentioned to the board, the summer is not going to be a downtime for the administration. The summer is going to be a time to really look through the process, look at different numbers, and see if we can come up with other alternatives as we move along. This is an evolving situation. I don't know how we can guarantee a prediction that was made by anybody. We've also decided to triangulate our efforts by not only having Montgomery County Planning Commission, but also look at another demographer to say, look, are you seeing the same things? I think we're going, bending over backwards to show due diligence.
Thank you, Mr. Copeland. I did want to take a moment, and thank you to the community for the comments, take a moment to revisit the dialogue around the grading policy. It is not a policy, it is a policy, but it's not a policy that we will vote on, but rather what has been presented by Mr. Hughes and Dr. Everslag. And again, let me thank them both, as well as the administration, for taking on the monumental task of having the dialogue, collecting the data, presenting that data, and doing a really fine job, I think, at presenting that to the board in ways that we can make the most informed decisions going forward. So I just want to take a moment prior to going forward with the rest of the business of this evening and give board members an opportunity to share their thoughts or perspective on the AR, the grading policy, given the magnitude of what we're dealing with. So I'm just going to go down the line. David, you have anything to share?
Yeah, I want to thank Dr. Everslag and Sean Hughes.
Whatever his
Sorry,
name is,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. A lot of information for doing the hard work and the heavy lifting on this revision of the grading policy. I think that there's a general fear of change, and sometimes that's worse than the change itself. I can't. It's hard for me to envision any negative consequences of this policy. It seems to me that it can only have positive effects for the students. I think that the fears that have been expressed concerning what a grade needs, I think, are well taken, and I think that's something that the board is really interested in taking up as well in terms of the overall grading and what the grades mean and how we do grading. So thank you for those comments.
Lori, please.
Sure. I also wanted to thank the administration for exploring this issue. I thought it was a really comprehensive look at kind of how we compare to our peers, and I also think it provoked a really healthy discussion with the community that was important, but seems like a practical step, and so we'll proceed from here.
Thank you. Diane?
Oops. I just continue to want to emphasize the importance of making sure that we have some consistency and understanding regarding what the grades mean, and some training for the teachers to make sure that the grades reflect what they want them to reflect. And there's been a couple of, since our last meeting, I've spoken to a couple of teachers, and there's some other interesting ideas out there, and I'm looking forward to seeing them explored as part of the strategic planning process. And so, you know, I'm hoping that maybe by mid-year in the coming year that we have some more information about maybe improving upon the way we evaluate and grade our students.
Thank you. Melissa?
Thank you. I too want to thank the administration, especially Sean Hughes, for leading this effort. I want to thank Mr. Copeland for actually taking it up, because it's been an issue that has been raised quite a bit actually over many years, and I think as part of this sort of Ask the Superintendents came to your attention. I do,
In droves.
in droves. I do think, you know, I'm a university professor, and I think that using the standard grading system makes more sense. I think it does impact on admissions, and I think it does definitely impact on scholarships. I know, in fact, Temple has a, which is where I teach, has a free tuition for kids who meet a certain GPA. And so those are the kinds of concerns we have. And I also think I'm concerned about stress, not only for our students who are trying to achieve A+, but our students who are trying to achieve Bs and Cs, and who also are, I think, sometimes left out of this conversation. Having said all that, again, I agree with everybody that, and I think the strategic plan and the idea of redefining success and really looking at our, how do we give feedback in a more holistic way is really important. So again, thank you.
Thank you. The only thing I want to echo from my colleagues is one of the points that Dr. Everslock made at the last meeting was around a grading philosophy, and that will be the crux of the conversation going forward. Certainly, that is something that is always been of concern, and certainly that's something that is in progress with the strategic plan, particularly given this change. So I don't have much else to add beyond support in terms of what my colleagues have shared. Ms. Pollard?
Again, I want to say thank you for all the hard work that has been done, and I just echo everything that everyone else has said, and especially how we define success. We have some very competitive young people in this community, and I think Dr. Gilbert was saying this does not always reflect on the B student or the C student, but we have to really look at, and I believe and hope that we will definitely do this with the strategic plan, look at seriously how we measure success so that we don't get caught up on the A or the A+ or the A-, but look at the entire picture.
Thank you. Suba?
I echo what my board colleagues have said, and I think it's important for us to definitely go into the strategic plan with an eye towards what a grade is and what does it mean to pass, as you indicated before, Justin. I think it's important that we keep that in mind as we go forward.
Ben?
Thank you to the administration for everybody's comments. I won't belabor anything other than, for me, the issue seems to be getting some parity with us and all the other schools and the college boards. But I do want to emphasize, and I think for me, I saw it with all the TSA and the Science Olympiad. Not everybody finished first, but everybody absolutely succeeded tonight. So don't always, it's hard. I know when you hear gray-haired people tell you don't focus on the grade. There's more to everybody than just a grade. I can tell you I've hired people who maybe didn't have the best grades, but had the best guts. And I will take guts over grades every day. So I do support this. I do want to work on reducing stress where we can, but I would want to do that regardless of our grade policy. A lot is asked of our students, and I think they deserve that from us. Thank you.
Maureen?
Yeah, I just want to thank the administration for the work that they did, and also thank the community. We asked for your feedback, and we got significant and thoughtful feedback, and we really appreciate that. It gave us a lot to think about. I share the concerns about the stress in adding, sort of finer levels. And I guess I would urge the administration, as they communicate these changes, to think about language and management techniques that may reduce that stress as they explain this to the students.
Thank you, everyone. So now we'll move on to our routine work here. I would like to approve the minutes from the following Boards of School Directors meetings: May 16th, regular business board meeting, June 6th, education committee and supplementary regular board meeting, and accept the following committee meeting minutes: May 18th, communications, June 3rd, policy, June 6th, open work session, facilities update, and June 9th, facilities purchasing committee. Are there questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
There a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And turn it over to Mr. Copeland.
Thank you. And just so I'm clear, so based on the things I've heard tonight, we're going to move the AR forward with the change. I think I heard everything, even the crack about people with gray hair, but I'm going to let that go at this point. Okay. We still have some more good news that we'd like to share with you. The Lower Merion Township Scholarship Fund held its 51st annual new recipient reception at the Merion Tribute House last month. I and members of the board were able to be there to see young people get their scholarships. That was a great activity. That's great work by the Scholarship Fund, and it was more than $3 million in grants over the past 51 years, so that's super. Ballackinwood Middle School's Kelly McDermott was recently selected as Public School Librarian of the Year by State Senator Dalen Leach. She's the library media specialist at Ballackinwood Middle School. Absolutely, I went over to congratulate her personally the other day. She does a great job, and we're very pleased that she's received this honor. Students and staff and community members recently gathered in Harridan High School's Black Box Theater for the 4th annual TED Lmsd, an independently organized TED Talk planned by students for students with enthusiastic support and mentorship from district staff. So that's a great opportunity. I think that's going to be on the website, and we'll be able to log into that soon. So thank you. Oh, there's more. Okay. I've got under Human Resources, items A and B, which I'll take together unless you'd like them separated. Otherwise, under Human Resources, the superintendent recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the attached Human Resources actions HR 1 through HR 5. And
can we do a roll call on that?
you can.
Okay, sorry. I didn't know we were on that one.
The solicitor can say how he wants this to be done.
You can,
I think a roll call on B.
No, that's not required. You can.
Oh.
Unless if the voice vote shows more than one no, then you can have go around the table.
So I can.
You want to just do them one at a time? Is that
Yes,
what you're saying?
let's do them
Okay.
one at a time,
Okay,
and we'll go
okay.
ahead and do a roll call on Lmsb.
All right, then you have a motion for A, or your recommendation for A.
Superintendent recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the attached human resources actions HR 1 through HR 5.
Okay, great. Are there questions? Is there a motion to approve? There's second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item B, the administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the following resolution: successor agreement to the current Act 93 meet and discuss agreement with the Lower Merion Organization of School Administrators. Be it resolved that the terms of the Act 93 meet and discuss agreement between the Lower Merion Board of School Directors and the Lower Merion Organization of School Administrators for the period January 1, 2015 to June 30th, 2018, and the year one salaries for administrators included in Exhibit HR 1 are hereby ratified by the Lower Merion Board of School Directors, and that the President of the Board is hereby authorized to sign Act 93 meet and discuss agreement for the Board.
So, Ms. LaPierre, can we do, so we need to vote first and then you'll do roll call? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, and you're gonna call our names, correct?
After you do the all in favor, if it's necessary. Like, if
Well,
somebody says.
can we do a roll call? I think there was a request to do a roll
Okay,
call.
sure. Mr. Fetterman?
Yes.
Ms. Ackman?
Yes.
I can't really see down here. Ms. Di Bonaventura? Dr. Gilbert? No, with her. Ms. Pollard?
Yes.
Ms. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Dr. O'Leary?
Yes.
And Dr. Van Lynch?
Yes,
That's all in favor. You have 9 yeses. Thank you.
9 yeses, thank you very much. We'll now have the report of the curriculum committee by Dr. Gilbert.
Actually, the curriculum committee did not meet.
Oh, that's great.
So
Awesome. I'm sorry.
that's my report. Have a
Curriculum
great summer,
committee typically
everybody.
does not meet in
No.
June, so we
No.
will move on to education services.
Under Educational Services, the administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the attached My Learning Plan renewal through MCIU Consortium for the term 7/1/16 to June 30th, 17, at a cost of $12,311.
Any questions? Is this for the administrators, Mr. Copeland?
It's for everybody, I believe.
Can somebody
This
tell
is
me
the
what
My Learning Plan keeps track of all of the different staff development
Okay,
pieces.
all right, I just wanted to make sure I was clear. Is there a motion to approve? So moved. There's a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Under Student Services, I'd like to take items A through D. The administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the Educational Services Agreements SS1 through SS7. Further, the administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approves the Educational Service Agreements SS8 through SS22. The administration recommends under C that the Board of School Directors approve the Independent Consultant Contracts SS23 through SS26. And the administration recommends that the Board of School Directors approve the attached agreement with Leader Services in the amount of $27,760 for the term of July 1st, 2015 through June 30th, 2017.
There questions? Is there a motion to approve? So move. There a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We will now have the report of the Facilities and Purchasing Committee by Mr. Driscoll.
Thank you, Dr. Van Lynch. We met this past Thursday for 3.5 hours, so this will take a little bit of time. We began the meeting with a presentation from Mr. Reed Sander from the firm of Willis Tower and Watson. He advises us on our insurance issues, and in his assessment, Lmsb has adequate insurance coverage and is taking proper procedures to minimize insurance claims. We then moved on, reviewed and approved the list of bills. We then reviewed and approved the purchasing report, which has 5 items. First item is a contract to finish all of our gymnasium floors from Mastercraft Sports Flooring for $19,000. This is part of our annual maintenance to keep our gymnasium floors safe and prolong their useful lives. We then reviewed and approved a contract for McCarthy Masonry and Concrete, for $17,500 to install a new sidewalk along Trent Road at Penguin Elementary School. This was the lowest responsible bidder among the 3 bidders. This new sidewalk is required by the township as part of the modular construction project at Penguin Elementary. We then reviewed a contract to Plymouth Environmental Company for $11,600 to remove asbestos from the DAO. This was also the lowest responsible bidder among 3 bidders. This work arose as asbestos was discovered during the demolition of parts of the DAO, which is under renovation to provide additional classrooms for Lower Marion High School this fall. We then reviewed and approved a contract from Gessler Construction Company for $394,186.15 to replace asphalt at Kinwood Elementary and Welsh Valley Middle School. Gessler was again the lowest responsible bidder among the 3 bidders. This asphalt has had patch repairs done over the years, but I don't believe it's been redone in approximately 20 years, so it needs to just be redone. We then reviewed and approved a contract from S.J. Thomas Company for $906,000 to install new boilers, a generator, and emergency lights at Bala Kinwood Middle School. In a prior meeting, this board had approved purchase of the boilers, as those boilers are 20 some odd or 30 years old. So this contract tonight is the one for the service to install those boilers and to provide the generator emergency lights to make Bala Kinwood School on par with our other schools. I do want to comment that the flooring one and the work at Bala Kinwood was done through consortium bidding, so there was competitive bidding involved. We then moved on to review and approve a renewal contract for Bus Boss for $7,820 for an additional year. Bus Boss is our routing software and student information management software for our transportation department. We then reviewed and approved a renewal contract with Aramac Services for $98.50 a month for the next year. Aramac provides coveralls for our bus maintenance crew. The transportation department did a great job and negotiated a 40% cost decrease from this coming year from this year that we're in. We then reviewed and approved a 3-year renewal license with Microsoft through Lancaster and Lebanon IU for $103,692.31 per year. This license allows our staff and students to use various Microsoft applications. We reviewed and approved a renewal contract from Reliance Communications for the district's continued use of School Messenger for $15,823.05. Many of you parents will know School Messenger is used for district-wide notifications, building level notifications, daily attendance calls, as well as low and negative lunch balances. We then reviewed and approved a contract with E+ for replacement data center equipment for $27,556. This will replace equipment, purchased in 2011 and provide greater bandwidth to allow future scalability and upgrade the district's core network. This contract was negotiated through a state-approved consortium bidding process. We then reviewed and approved a purchasing contract with Starlight Productions for $25,367.64. Starlight will provide audiovisual systems, including an interactive projector, sound system, and access to district's rebroadcast systems for the new classrooms being constructed in the DAO during the summer. This contract was again negotiated through a state consortium bidding agency. We then reviewed 4 district contracts, some of which we've talked about today already. With the MCIU for My Learning Plan software for $12,311, which manages professional development. Leader Services for $27,760 is a renewal contract to manage our IEP drafting, and a contract with AG Speech Language Potential at about $100 an hour. This is a services contract for AG Speech to provide speech therapists to our students who require speech therapy. Finally, the other district contract was Delta Dental at $395 per month per employee and $101,000 per month for claims. This is a renewal contract to provide dental benefits for our district's employees. We then reviewed and approved a contract with Presentation BVM Church to rent 20 parking spaces for a 1-year term for $5,800 plus a portion of snow removal costs. This contract will increase the off-street parking capacity of Penguin Elementary. Once approved, we are looking to request the township put the proposed 10 parking spaces on Penguin in reserve as a trade-off for executing this lease agreement, and hopefully reduce our construction costs for the modules at Penguin by approximately $130,000. We then reviewed and approved 2 contracts for additional enrollment studies. One is for Sundance Associates for a not-to-exceed amount of $18,100, and the other is from Montgomery County Planning Commission for a not-to-exceed amount of $5,100. The district has used Montgomery County Planning for the last 2 studies, as Mr. Copeland had said, and is requesting MCPC to update its work again this fall. Sundance will be providing a completely new study. Both reports will be based on the district's 10-day enrollment numbers that we will get in September 2016. And we're hoping that by using 2 independent consultants, we will get additional insights into our enrollment growth. We then reviewed and approved a renewal contract with Heinz Rowing Facilities for lease of property to support the Lower Merion High School crew team for various fees depending on the usage. Lower Merion crew team has been using this facility to store and launch shells for several years and has it up in near Conshohocken. We then reviewed and approved an increase of 25 cents per meal with our nutritional services. This is for breakfast and lunch at our schools. Our current fees were set in the 13-14 school year, and this adjustment is needed to keep pace with operation cost increase. We then reviewed and approved the following change orders. One at Penn Valley, a decrease of $2,745.83. The district has agreed to take over the grow-in maintenance for a field that was returfed at Penn Valley. And this, by us taking on the work, we can decrease the work that Wilson will do, and therefore the decrease in cost. We also then reviewed a change order for Penn Win Elementary, an increase of $162,899.80 for revised sanitary and seepage bed, revised underground water service, installation of a fire line, additional concrete deck footings, additional site lighting for the parking lot and walkway to modulars, added landscape and concrete restoration, and increase in retaining wall footing size. Some of these changes arose from having more information now than we did several months ago, and some of these changes have arisen from our work with the township as they've asked us to make certain changes to the plan at Penwin for the modulars. Those were the items we discussed for bidding. Then we just took informational points on updates from Reynolds Construction on getting closeout at Welsh Valley, Ballackinwood, Penn Valley, and Gladwin. Site restoration where the modular classrooms were at Welsh Valley has been completed. The open change orders for Welsh Valley and BC are the same, and we are awaiting final resolution. Hopefully that'll come soon. And the final change order for Penn Valley is still being processed. We then got an update on the DAO construction. The building permit is issued. Some work, such as demolition work, has begun, hence the asbestos contract. However, we expect more work to be done once the students and staff leave for the summer and are still planning for a September opening. We then discussed temporary classrooms at Penwin. The building permit has been submitted. We anticipate moving the stormwater basin from the playing field and placing it under the Suffolk Lane parking lot and hope thereby minimize disruption to the playing field. I also did talk about the presentation BVM Church rental agreement. Also, I just want to remind that the administration will hold an information center on construction activities over the summer at Penwin. This meeting is scheduled for Thursday, July 16th at 7 p.m. at Penwin Cafeteria. Finally, we did receive an update on the Arnold Field Master Plan. This past fall, the district hired ELA Sport to conduct a study of field usage by Lower Merion High School students across all sports. Indoor sports such as basketball and certain outdoor sports like cross country and crew were excluded, as the focus of the report was on outdoor field usage. Lower Merion High School supports 11 outdoor field sports in the fall and 13 outdoor field sports in the spring across multiple levels, varsity, JV, 9th grade, and the genders, boys and girls. Lower Merion High School relies primarily on Arnold Field across Montgomery Avenue for most of its field usage, but also does use South Ardmore Park and Vernon Young Park as a supplement. We discussed moving the stadium from back of Arnold Field to next to Montgomery Avenue, but this reduces the total amount of field space. The report, as those who've read it, shows various a la carte options, such as replacing the bleachers, adding permanent concession stand and bathrooms, increasing parking on Arnold Field itself, and replacing some of the grass fields with artificial turf fields. This is an opening issue. We just started this process, so we will have further discussions on these options in the fall. Then the meeting concluded. So our next meeting will be July 14th at 8:30 a.m. Thank you.
Mr. Driscoll, I think you said the Penwin meeting was July 16th. I think it's this Thursday, June.
I said July. It should have been June. I apologize.
Okay, no problem.
Mr. Orlando, you are correct?
Yes. Under Business Office and Finance, I'm going to take actions B through H and K through O in one motion, and then we'll come back and do I and J for the budget. Okay. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the following action items: approve the list of bills, approve the financial report for May 2016, accept the donations of a steel pedestal table from Marion Elementary HSA valued at $2,571.15, 2 trees from Marion Elementary 5th grade committee of the HSA. They are valued at $200 each on behalf of the Marion Elementary 5th grade class of 2016. A bench from the Lower Marion High School HSA valued at $3,642. Approve the financial institutions and investment trusts as depositories for the school district for the fiscal year 2016-17. Those institutions are listed in the motion. Approve the transfers in the 2015-16 budget, and further authorize, the board authorize the business manager to make additional transfers in the 2015-16 budget as may be required by the school district auditors. Approve the capital reserve transfer. Approve the committed fund balance as per the attachment. Appoint Kenneth Roos of Worcester Pearlstein LLP as the solicitor for the school district for the 2016 school year as per the attachment. Approve the dental plan and depository agreement with Delta Dental for a 2-year term from July 1st, 2016 to June 30th, 2018 as per the attachment. Approve a proposal for professional services regarding property assessment appeals from Bowbridge Property Advisors, Lukens and Wolf LLC as per the attachment. Approve the 2016-17 nutritional services prices as listed in the motion, and declare surplus equipment as surplus property and authorize the disposition thereof as per the attachment.
There are questions? Please, Diane.
Vic, could you talk a little bit about, one of the items that you mentioned was the committed fund balance and the capital reserve fund. Can you talk about the unassigned and assigned and committed fund balance numbers? And we've moved some dollars around, so if you could talk a little bit about that as well, please.
So the motion for the committed fund balance is $35.8 million. We did have some discussions with our auditors and our financial advisors on what we believe was a better representation of what we think may happen. So we've reassigned some of the future PSERS obligation and increased our capital projects and also our other post-employee healthcare benefits. So we added $5 million in future capital projects and $1 million to post-employee healthcare benefits. So we reduced our PSERS obligation by $6 million. In addition to that, we have unassigned fund balance of $20 million. We're using over $9 million to balance our budget for the upcoming 16-17 school year, which will leave us with an unassigned fund balance of around $10 million.
And what types of things would that unassigned, that $10 million go to if we needed it?
Unassigned fund balance would be for any type of contingencies for, that we wouldn't know about.
Unassigned fund balances could go for a variety of things. If we have an unusual upsurge in the needs for out-of-district special education tuition, if we found that we had some maintenance issues that we had to deal with, if we had a really bad winter and you had to go buy more salt and you had to have more overtime, you try and build a budget that's both prospective, looking to see what you think you might need in the future, based on the way you've spent the money in the past, but there's always the possibility that surprises occur.
So the capital projects fund or the capital fund is for big ticket items, capital issues, but the unassigned can be used for pretty much anything that we need.
That becomes problematic. But we also use the history of the district. Mr. Orlando is to also purchase transportation buses with capital, I believe.
Correct. So in the capital reserve fund, that is to fund our 5-year maintenance plan and our technology plan, plus our bus replacement program.
I'm used to looking for you down here, and then you move. You need to stay
No,
in
she
one
flips
spot.
it, she flips it, yeah. Great, thank you.
Any additional questions? And just a formal thank you to the HSAs of Marion Elementary as well as Lower Marion High School for the donations for the schools. Is there a motion to approve? So moved. There a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
So the remaining 2 items under this section are related to the 16-17 budget. I'm going to take them both in the same motion. The administration recommends that the Board of School Directors adopts the 2016-17 budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2016, as per the attachment. That total budget figure is $258,934,268. It also sets forth the tax rate of 27.396 mils, also by adopting the attached budget resolution, and further adopts the attached real estate tax resolution, and also the following items listed in the resolution should be adopted 1 through 12. In addition to that, the administration recommends that the Board of School Directors adopts the 2016 homestead and farmstead exclusion resolution as per the attachments.
There are questions?
Just one
Please.
quick one. So Vic, with the homestead exclusion, is there a change over last year?
There's a slight increase of $2.37 from last year.
And this comes from the gambling money, is that right?
Correct. This comes from the gambling money.
I'm
down this
looking
way.
the wrong way the whole time. I was wondering why I couldn't see.
Correct. So the total amount for the public is $3,473,906.34. It's just slightly higher than last year. The amount of approved homesteads is slightly down from last year. So the amount of homesteads is $225.58.
And those numbers show up on both sides of our balance sheet, right? So it looks like we're.
Correct. It'll show as correct.
Any additional questions? And Mr. Copeland, could you just overview some of the points we've made in a number of finance meetings as well as business meetings around the budget, the rationale for the tax increase?
Sure. One of the challenges that we face is a couple of major challenges. One is the projected growth of the district. Since 2006, when the Act 1 index was first put into law, until now, 2016, over the last 10 years, we've gone from about 6,900 students to now to about 8,400 students. That growth in students has meant well over 100 teachers and supports, and in addition to that, support staff. So there's no waiver or exclusion in the index for growth. You can grow as much as you want. There's nothing in there to say, you go above that. So if you look at our average percentages for growth compared to other districts who haven't had growth or declining growth, or districts that have EITs, I think it's remarkable that we've been able to do the kinds of things that we've done. I also think that the next big challenge that we've got is, of course, the pension fund. The pension fund, again, there's no guarantee, but if we take a look at our prior spending, and if we take a look at what we estimate would be our ability to tax, right about the year 2020 looks like we're not going to be able to match our spending growth, particularly if the numbers of students continue, with the taxing index that we have. It's then that pension or PSERS fund balance would kick in so that you would spend down the fund balance. One of the things people say, well, you got the money in the PSERS, why don't you just spend that now? Well, you don't need it now, but you want to hold it in reserve. That's what the fund balance is for that time that it looks like around 2020, so that the district doesn't have to start to lose the kinds of programs, quite frankly, that we saw tonight, that really separates us in some ways from our neighbors, and I think that's why we've done that. Having said all of that, I absolutely believe in fiscal conservancy. We are taking a real strong look at our budgeting practices this year to make sure that we're placing the dollars where they're supposed to be. We've eliminated central office positions. Just as a small example, this just happened within a week. We had a central office, a support staff position. We've consolidated that position, and we used the consolidated funds to increase the number of trainers that we have at Lower Merion and Harridan High School. I was somewhat concerned in the fall this year when we had multiple injuries at Lower Merion High School, and I said to Don Walsh, I said, how is the trainer going to get to all of these places? And he says, that's a problem. And so I asked the athletic directors to put together a plan. Well, the plan came in after the budget, the staffing had been set, but this accommodation allowed us to make a savings at the central office level and put it towards the health and safety of kids. So that's an ongoing process as our district grows.
Any additional questions? Is there a motion to approve?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
And we'll do roll call by Ms. LaPierre.
Dr. O'Leary?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Ms. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Pollard?
Yes.
Dr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Ms. Di Bonaventura? Ms. Ackman? Mr. Fetterman? And Dr. Van Lynch?
Yes.
All in favor, motion passes.
Are there any questions on item J? Is there a motion to approve? We voted, I thought we just, we did them both?
They were
Was
together,
that both?
yes.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Okay. Facilities and operations section. I'm going to take items A through L in one motion. Mr. Driscoll went over these in detail, unless a board member would like me to separate any of those items. Seeing that there are none. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the following action items. Award the bids to refinish gym floors at all schools. Install the sidewalk at Penwood Elementary. Approve asbestos abatement for classroom renovations at the District Administration Office. Approve asphalt repairs and improvements at Kenwood Elementary and Walsh Valley Middle School. Approve the replacement of boilers and install emergency lighting at Ballard Kenwood Middle School. Approve the agreement with Orbit Software for BusBoss software support from July 1, 2016 through June 30, 2017 for an annual fee of $7,820. Approve the updated addendum to the customer service agreement from Aramark for transportation department uniforms. Approve the Lower Merion School District participation in a 3-year Microsoft agreement with Lancaster's Lebanon IU Intermediate Unit 13 to stay current on the Microsoft software for an annual cost $103,692.31. Approve the renewal for school messenger system at an annual rate of $15,823.05. Approve the quote from E+ for data center equipment in the amount of $27,556. Approve the quotes from Starlight Productions for Lower Merion High School science classroom equipment in the amount of $25,367.64, and the installation in the amount of $17,955. Approve the parking lease agreement with Presentation BVM Church for use of parking space from July 1, 2016 through June 30th, 2017 in the amount of $5,800. Approve the proposal and addendum to the agreement from Sundance Associates for a demographic study. Approve the proposal for professional services from Montgomery County Planning Commission for amount not to exceed $5,100, and that is subject to solicitor's review. Approve the facilities agreement with Hines Rowing Center from July 1, 2016 through June 30, 2017 in the amount of $32,355, and approve the change orders for addition and alterations at Penn Valley Elementary School and the modular classrooms at Penn Elementary School, and they are all per the attachments.
There questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We will now have the report of the Policy Committee by Ms. Robinson.
Thank you, Dr. Van Lynch. The Policy Committee met on June 3rd, 2016 for a special meeting. We don't usually meet in June. We had some second readings that we needed to get pushed through. We received an update of the Title IX Committee. We received a brief update regarding the progress of the Title IX committees at each high school. Lower Marion High School is slightly further along in their review process. There have been surveys and meetings all year long that have given rise to some issues that need to be looked forward to, primarily in terms of transparency and clarity, such as scheduling of fields. More information will be forthcoming, and we will tackle the middle schools next year. The committee will also vet the issue of possibly having one booster club next year that would be an umbrella organization for all the booster clubs. That structure may have more pros and cons to consider, but will probably or possibly alleviate the issues of differences of team support and transparency. Policies that are being considered for second reading at this meeting are Policy 621, 622, 812, and 827, Federal Fiscal Compliance, Travel Reimbursement, Food Service, and Conflict of Interest, respectively. New rules for federal grants funds known as Uniform Grant Guidance. The Uniform Grant Guidance became effective on December 26, 2014, and for each local education agency, it became effective for all federal awards awarded on or after July 1st, 2015. The regulations indicate that for federal awards subject to this part, all administrative requirements, program manuals, handbooks, and other non-regulatory materials that are inconsistent with the requirement of this part must be superseded upon implementation of this part by the federal agency, except to the extent that they were required by statute. So we had to put some policies in place to show that we were compliant. Our practices were already in compliance. We just needed to put the policies in place. We reviewed policy and AR 244, educational research, for a second reading, but it's not being forwarded to a second reading at this month. This suspended policy and AR has been revised to set forth a more rigorous screening process, an IRB process, or review board process. The board asked several questions and requested additional language in the policy and accompanying administrative regulation. The board also asked that the rarity of approval of outside research should be made clear in the policy. This policy will be brought back for a first reading in the fall. Then we went on to look at policy 207, actually AR 207 regarding attendance. The minor adjustment to the language change that is going from the words truancy elimination plan to school attendance improvement plan. We also reviewed AR 210, use of medication. This is a modification to specify procedures for naloxone or Narcan administration. This ensures the safety of our students while on site at the high schools. And we discussed policy in AR 213 regarding grading of student progress. The purpose of this discussion was to share information regarding the review of the policy that was conducted this year. The result of the work this year under the guidance of Sean Hughes and Scott Everslog is to have a grading scale that is more aligned to the College Board grading scale. The change would be from an 8-point scale to a 10-point scale with pluses and minuses, and was detailed in, or discussed in detail earlier in this meeting. The next Policy Committee meeting will be held in September 2016, date to be announced. Enjoy your summer.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. The following policies were reviewed for a second reading. Policy 621, Federal Fiscal Compliance. Policy 622, Travel Reimbursement, Federal Programs. Policy 812, food service. Policy 827, conflict of interest. Are there questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We'll now have the report of the did you meet, Lori? Okay, Communications Committee, Ms. Hackman.
Thank you. Let's see, we met on May 18th. We discussed many news and highlights and achievements, some of which were displayed here tonight with the award winners. We talked about InfoSnap, and kudos to Doug Young for getting out a communications reminder by letter to everyone in the district before the end of the school year, because getting that information accurate and done early is really important for the directories for the various HSAs. So I think that was, the district got a lot of feedback on that last year, and I thought this was a great improvement, not to editorialize, but we discussed that. The district is going to redesign the website, in particular to provide more information quickly via mobile device. And so they've engaged a firm to do this, and they will be seeking feedback from the community in terms of the type of information that parents and even students would like to see easily, and that process is moving forward. There may be a survey initially to get some initial feedback efficiently. Let's see, we talked about a contract renewal for a consultant who helps provide summaries and photos of district events, and that is moving forward. We talked about communication that was due to go out and did go out about the partner schools. Again, I think the district communicated really effectively about that, especially since it was a new policy. And finally, we talked about the Community Resource Network, and we had a demo of software that would make it very easily for volunteers to register through a central portal. The district is exploring other options in terms of software, but that will be an important new tool as we seek to get more community members engaged and connected with teachers and students and leveraging the resources here in the community. And we will meet again in the fall, and again, have a nice summer.
Thank you, Ms. Ackman. I have one additional item under new business. We had a very productive meeting among the intergovernmental partnership with designated members of the Board of Commissioners, Narberth Borough Council, as well as the Lower Merion Board of School Directors. We talked about issues that were shared among the three governing bodies and plans to improve communication and meet and welcome the public to attend over 3 times during the course of the year. It was recommended that we meet again in October, where our Board of Commissioners would host. And again, we look forward to the continued dialogue. And there will be more information to come, and that will be posted as well. We will now have audience recognition on agenda or non-agenda items. If you would like to speak, please sign in with Ms. LaPera. Do we have anyone on the list? Wow. Okay. So, Sunshine Act, Mr. Roos.
Thank you. The board did hold executive sessions for the purpose of personnel matters on June 1st, June 6th, and June 8th, and just an information session on June 13th before this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Roos. Upcoming meeting dates, unfortunately, facilities doesn't take a break. The bills continue to come, so Mr. Driscoll's committee will continue to meet on July 14th at 8:30 a.m. And then we will have our regular board business meeting on July 18th at 8 p.m. And with that, we are adjourned. Have a fantastic summer, and congratulations to all of our graduates.